Donald Trump exploded into his second term as the US president like a grenade in a warehouse full of fireworks, dung and spinning fans. Decades-long playbook of US economic and foreign policies goes up in flames, alliances are strained, markets panic, and analysts no longer even hope to find any sense in what's going on. It's chaos. But the big question is, does Trump even know what he's doing, or is there a method behind the madness? And that is the question that I'll be answering today. Let's look at two big areas of Trump's policies: trade and the war in Ukraine. Starting with trade. Trump's trade agenda roared into life early in his second term, reviving his signature taste for tariffs with passion. In February 2025, he slapped a 10% tariff on Chinese imports, framing it as a righteous stand against Beijing's role in funneling fentanyl precursors, revisiting his first-term strategy to wield trade as a geopolitical battering ram. His advisors like Peter Navarro, ever the tariff evangelist, tout this as MAGAnomics in action, shielding American workers, reviving manufacturing, and strong-arming rivals into submission. Yet, in a head-spinning twist, Trump delayed identical tariffs on Canada and Mexico by 30 days after hurried pledges from Ottawa and Mexico City to crack down on drug smuggling. Is that flexibility, or is that floundering? The economic rationale behind this tariff blitz is a mixed bag. Proponents argue that it's a shield for domestic industries. Think steel mills humming back to life and factory jobs sprouting anew. Trump's first term offers a partial blueprint. His 2018 tariffs on steel and aluminum did boost some US producers, with employment in those sectors ticking up marginally. But the broader picture was less rosy. Studies from Peterson Institute for International Economics pegged the cost to American consumers at over $900 per household annually, as prices for goods from cars to appliances climbed. By the way, the recent study of the same institute on this new round of tariffs promises an extra $1,200 cost per household. And then, back in Trump's first term, the trade deficit with China barely budged, and the retaliatory tariffs from Beijing hit US farmers quite hard. Soybean exports plummeted by around 20% in 2018-2019. Now, fast forward to 2025, and China's response to Trump's latest move is quite déjà vu. 10% tariffs on US coal and gas, curbs on rare earth exports, and pointed antitrust probe into Google. The ripple effects are already palpable. Energy prices are edging up, and tech firms brace for supply chain hiccups. And the impact doesn't stop at US borders. Global supply chains already frayed by pandemic aftershocks face fresh strain now. Take the auto industry, for example. Tariffs on Chinese components could disrupt production in Detroit and beyond, with analysts at Goldman Sachs warning of a 5 to 7% rise in vehicle costs if the standoff escalates. Small businesses which are reliant on affordable imports might see their margins shrink, while exporters, say Texas oil firms, could lose markets as China pivots to other suppliers, like Russia or Middle East, which kinda goes against the whole drill baby drill idea. And long-term US allies aren't spared either. Canada and Mexico, despite their reprieve, remain quite wary of Trump's tariff trigger finger, potentially chilling cross-border investment. However, Trump's defenders see a method in this madness. They argue that his erratic tariff policy is a form of coercive diplomacy, which is designed to keep adversaries and allies alike off balance. By threatening Canada and Mexico, but then pausing to extract concessions, Trump may be signaling that compliance with US demands on issues like border security or drug trafficking can avert economic punishment. Similarly, the hard line on China could be a bargaining chip to force Beijing into a deal, and perhaps the one that aligns with Trump's broader vision of reshaping global trade to favor American interests. If this is indeed a strategy, then it's a high-stakes gamble that assumes that Trump can negotiate his way out of the chaos that he himself is sowing. A talent that he boasts about, but his track record is quite spotty, so perhaps he's less of a clueless tariff slinger and more of a showman who is keeping the audiences guessing. Now let's look at Trump's policies through the prism of the war in Ukraine. Trump's Ukraine policy has been a rollercoaster since his end the war in one day campaign boast. In early March 2025, he halted military aid to Ukraine, which crucially also included reduced intelligence sharing. And now US is pressuring Kyiv to negotiate with Russia. This is a sharp contrast from Biden's stance, alarming NATO allies who've bankrolled Ukraine's resistance since Russia's 2022 invasion. By pausing the flow of Javelin missiles and HIMARS systems, which are vital for Ukraine's defense, Trump risks tipping the battlefield towards Moscow, where Putin's forces have already carved out around 20% of Ukraine's territory. And then, again, just a few days later, Trump pivoted, hinting at sanctions and tariffs on Russia unless a ceasefire emerges. This flip-flop again left analysts dizzy and confused. The initial cut of aid aligns with his first-term aversion to foreign entanglements, and also with his bromance with Putin. His recent jabs at Zelensky, calling him a dictator and falsely claiming Ukraine sparked the war, echoes Kremlin propaganda, suggesting either ignorance or intent to appease Moscow. On the other hand, the sanctions threat could signal a tougher line, perhaps nudged by backlash from Congress, where even some GOP senators kind of flinched at abandoning Kyiv. But the stakes in Ukraine are colossal. Without US aid, Ukraine is outgunned. And Russia's grinding advances in the east of the country, fueled by new soldiers and Iranian drones, might accelerate, potentially seizing even more of the territory of Ukraine by summer. Sadly, Europe can't fully plug the gap, and Ukrainian collapse could flood NATO's eastern flank with refugees and embolden Putin to test other European countries, which is a nightmare for the already fractured NATO alliance. Such inconsistency from Trump again paints a picture of a president who is lacking a clear grasp of the conflict's stakes or a steady hand to guide US policy. However, Trump's supporters argue that this erraticism is a deliberate chess move. Again, a high-stakes game of coercive diplomacy, reminiscent of his approach to North Korea back in 2017-2018. By cutting aid, Trump may be signaling to Ukraine that US support is conditional on entering peace talks. The subsequent threat of sanctions on Russia could be the other half of the equation, a carrot-and-stick approach to drag both parties to the table. If Trump were indeed to broker a peace, say a frozen conflict with Ukraine ceding Crimea and some other territories but holding on to a line somewhere else, then Trump could claim a Nixon to China moment, but with Russia, slashing US military costs and giving a nice shine to his dealmaker cred. But the risks are massive. A deal favoring Russia might legitimize aggression, weakening NATO's deterrence as Putin eyes Moldova or Georgia or the Baltic states next. Also, at some point, Zelensky, after facing some domestic criticism over concessions to US, could reject Trump's arm twisting, leaving the US sidelined as Europe scrambles to arm itself and back up Ukraine. So again, if this is indeed a plan, then it's quite a tightrope act with no safety net. And Trump is not really known for steady footing. So with all that said, is Trump flailing or strategizing? Is he just clueless and dangerous like a monkey with a grenade launcher, or is he a smart and bold master of geopolitics? Well, the clueless narrative paints him as a reactive leader, tariffs sparking economic blowback with no clear gains, Ukraine moves which are risking a Russian win while alienating NATO, and his reliance on loyalist overseasoned experts and lack of solid reasoning over his erratic behavior, they all support this view. On the flip side, the bold strategy camp sees disruption as his superpower, trade pressure rewriting global rules, and Ukraine gambits ending a war that others couldn't. The truth likely links both schools of thought. This is likely a president with big and bold ideas, but a very shaky grip on execution, kind of stumbling towards outcomes that might just work out if all the stars align, and if the audiences clap loud enough. But what is the likely outcome of Trump's volatile first months in the office? For the US, Trump's policies are a double-edged sword. A prolonged train spat could hike costs and strain industries, though a successful deal might boost manufacturing, assuming that he avoids tripping over his own tariff threats. In Ukraine, a forced peace could cut military spending, but a Russia-favorable outcome might weaken US's credibility abroad. The irony is that America might just about muddle through with some wins, even if the victories owe more to luck than Trump's mastery. But globally, the picture darkens. Trump's unpredictability erodes trust in the US. Europe is already pivoting to self-reliance, and Asia could easily seek new partners. A Ukraine deal ceding ground to Russia risks emboldening autocrats, while trade wars could hammer poorer nations caught in the crossfire. So the world watches not just a policy shift, but a one-man show that could either dazzle or derail. As of March 9, 2025, and as I'm recording this video, Trump's second term is neither a definitive triumph nor a train wreck, though personally I think it's closer to the latter. It is still a massive mix of ambition and improvisation. Will it be beneficial long-term? Well, maybe, but just maybe for the US if he somehow manages to land on his feet. But it will be much less so for a world which is craving stability over stagecraft. So the curtain's up, the plot is unfolding, and we are all along for the ride, whether we bought the tickets or not. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to see your opinions on this topic in the comment section below. And if you find this content interesting and/or thought-provoking, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.